Hi, this is Ann with Finance on the Offense, and today I'm going to go over what front load, back load, level load, and no load mean when it comes to mutual funds, and also how to recognize them. And I do want to mention that I'm not a finance professional or anything like that, so everything in this video is just for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get started. Now, first off, when it comes to mutual funds, load means fee. Now, these are not the only fees that mutual funds charge, but sometimes they're the biggest fee. For example, here's a mutual fund that charges 5.75% on everything that you invest into it, right off the top. And that example that I just showed you is the first mutual fund that I want to talk about today, which is a front load or front end load mutual fund. Now, generally speaking, load funds are sold to you by a financial advisor because they get paid commission on these sales. It's in the financial advisor's best interest to sell you a high fee fund, and that means it's not in your best interest. So let's just take a little closer look at the fund that I just showed you on Morningstar.com, which is the site that I use to research all the mutual funds that I invest in. This fund is called American Funds Growth Fund of America A. And the ticker symbol is this right here, AGTHX. A front load mutual fund means that whenever you buy or invest in this type of mutual fund every month, they will take a big fee on whatever you put in or whatever you invest. If we come over here to the price, we can see this front load right here. On this mutual fund, the front load is 5.75%. So let's say you want to invest $1,000 a month into this mutual fund. You'll pay this load or the fee on that $1,000 every time you invest it. So basically, if the load is 5.75% like this one, you'll be losing $57.50 right off the top every single month. So instead of actually investing $1,000 a month in this fund, now you're only investing $942.50 a month. Not cool. If you're doing some research on mutual funds, an easy way to tell a front load fund just from looking at it is this letter A right here. So the mutual fund name will have the letter A in it somewhere, usually at the end. And this means that it's a Class A shares mutual fund. Class A means that it carries a front load to pay the advisor's sales commission. So while you're searching for the best mutual fund for you, just make sure to notice whether there's an A in the title of it or not. Now, this doesn't apply to stocks. This is just mutual funds I'm talking about. So if you see the letter A in a stock name, that is a completely different meaning. The second type of mutual fund that I'm going to talk about today is a backload mutual fund, and that's sometimes called a back-end load or a deferred load mutual fund. Now, I actually couldn't find an example of a back-end mutual fund to show you. But basically, you pay the load or the fee at the end when you sell the shares. So you'll be paying on however much you put in plus the gains. And these are sometimes referred to as deferred load mutual funds because over time, the longer you keep the money in the mutual fund, that deferred load decreases. So maybe it starts out at 4%, and if you keep your money in there for a couple years, it goes down to 3% or something like that. Either way, these funds are a terrible investing decision. They're so unpopular right now and seen as a ripoff for investors that most mutual fund companies have pulled them from their list of available mutual funds you can invest in. And I think that's why it was really hard for me to actually find a back-end load mutual fund. Also, just so you know, these mutual funds are referred to as B shares. So the first ones we looked at are A shares, and they have A somewhere in the title. These will have the letter B in the title. And as I said before about stocks, having the letter B in a stock name is a completely different thing than having the letter B in a mutual fund name. It's not necessarily a bad thing for stocks. The third type of mutual fund is the level load mutual fund. And as you might have guessed, these have the letter C in the title. A level load isn't charged when you buy the mutual fund or when you sell the mutual fund. It's an ongoing fee throughout the time you hold the mutual fund. Usually with a level load fund, the fees are like 1%, and that goes to the mutual fund company. Here's an example of a level load mutual fund. And we know this is a level load fund because it has the letter C in the title here. And then if we click on price right down here, we can see this aggressive allocation level load is 1.78%. So you're probably wondering, well, if the fees are this high, does it even make sense to invest in mutual funds? But here's the thing. There are tons and tons of no-load mutual funds. And better yet, there's something called a no-load index fund. Actually, all index funds that I know of are no-load index funds. Index funds have super low fees and no load at all. So I pretty much only buy index funds these days. Some of my favorites are VTSAX, which is Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, SWTSX, which is Schwab's version of that same thing. It's Schwab Total Stock Market Index Fund. And then there is SWPPX, which is an index that follows the S&P 500. Now you might think that these load mutual funds outperform the index funds I was just mentioning, and that must be why you have to pay the fee. So let's test it. Let's head over to a mutual fund comparison site. Now I pretty much found the mutual funds that I included in this video at random. They're basically just the first ones I came across. So I plugged these into this MarketWatch.com mutual fund comparison tool. We've got the Franklin mutual funds here, the American Front Load Fund here, and then the index fund here. So when we look at the long-term annualized return for holding your investments for 10 years in these funds, you'll see that the level load shares, the Franklin mutual fund, only pulled in 8.63%. Not great. The American Front Load Fund performed the best at 17.76%, and then the very low fee index fund was just behind that at 16.39%. So on this Franklin mutual fund, the fees were a lot higher than the index fund, and it returned like about half of what the index fund did. The American fund, which has the big front end load of 5.75%, returned a little bit more than the index fund, but it's not enough to warrant how much we had to pay to invest in this company if we were to do that. All right, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.